Hey there, traders. What's going on? I'm going to do a free video here on reciprocal tariff day. Biggest reversal, possibly intraday range in the NASDAQ and the S&P, maybe ever. We're still trying to compile the data. So I've got a lot to share with you. This video is going to be for public consumption, but I'm also going to talk directly to the investors at Inside Edge Capital. We just launched our new active management model called Active Opps, Active Opportunities. Literally, I put the first 2 trades on an hour and a half before the tariff suspension for 90 days. Like, I'll show you exactly what happened here, man. What a crazy day to start. So this video is going to kind of go in a bunch of different directions. I'm going to try to be efficient with our time, get you in and out, just show you from my point of view how and what happened and how we got pushed right to the brink. How resolution came at a really key time, show you some positions we put on today and what we think going forward. So there's a lot. So let's kind of get into it. All right. So I think, the biggest thing, coming in this morning, the yields were all goofy today. We came in this morning, the 10-year yield opened at 4.46. and did back off a little bit. We closed at 4.4. The 2-year yield was significantly lower, and you're going to see this in black. So, they were starting to price in, like this morning, there was better than a 50% chance of the Fed cutting in May, which is quite a change than where we've been. So what happened here is this morning we had 2-year yield, which reflects Fed funds, considerably lower pricing in a May and definitely a June cut, while the 10-year yield was moving up. And what was happening, I actually heard from a friend yesterday who's a big money manager, like there was some liquidity issues in muni markets, and then CNBC was on this morning as traders were dumping long-term bonds for liquidity needs. Was there a liquidity crunch? Is it international selling? And where the direction of the dollar is it international selling? No, the dollar was going up. So it actually was a sign that money was coming into the U.S. Maybe it was domestics, U.S.-based investors kind of dumping longer-term treasuries. And what that was doing was spiking the yield curve. Okay, so 10-2 yield curve was hanging around like 30, 40 basis points of above inversion right around here ever since January, pretty much. And then this morning, as I just mentioned, with the drop in the short-term yield reflecting a May cut and the move up in the 10-year and 30-year as investors were dumping longer-term treasuries, maybe for liquidity, maybe for fear of coming inflation, but with the Fed cutting, it doesn't make sense, and it rallied up. I mean, we were up at, like, let me see here. I just go to CNBC to get the latest. Let me see where rates are right now, and this matters. So we just go over here, markets, go to bonds, and then we'll look at the difference between 10s and 2s. So the 10 is at 4.32 and the 2 is at 391. So, real quick, that's about 40 basis points difference between the two. So we still have the yield curve moving up. And we got really, really steep. We got up into the 60s at some point today and kind of backed off. The dollar was up today. It came up off the lows. We started to sell off. We finished up at the highs. I mean, you can clearly see the relationship between U.S. 10-year yields and the dollar. Let me just get rid of these moving averages. And, I was making the point that, well, our yield's going up, okay, but also the dollar's going up. So that must mean that money's coming in overseas. So is money actually going into the market? And I kind of talked about that yesterday, and one of the trades that we put on, and I'll talk about this, is I wrote on CNBC Pro how I wanted to move into Palantir. This was yesterday. We still had a hedge on an SMH. We took some profits in that, but I was like, I want to start to dip a toe in the market. And Palantir has been one of the stronger growth stocks, and basically put the trade on right before the reversal in Palantir, which was good. But I also put an XLK hedge on in a new model at Inside Edge that I'll describe. Like, today was just absolutely crazy. Like I know I'm machine gunning you here with all these different talking points, but that's just the kind of day we're in. So let me start here. The reversal, I just put this on Twitter, was unbelievable. So I wrote that, according to ChatGPT, I just looked at quickly, what's the largest intraday NASDAQ swing was 11.4% in the global financial crisis in 2008. And then if you look at the NASDAQ low to high today, I had 11.87%. So potentially the largest intraday reversal ever. Okay, that's just unbelievable. And, we came in, where did the reversal happen? Well, we go over here, the NASDAQ and the S&P reversed at some pretty key levels. If we go out to the weekly on the S&P and get rid of all the Elliott wave stuff, we just kind of held the 22 highs. So the old resistance maybe was support. Now, where we are in the wave count, I don't know. I haven't found the Elliott wave count to be all that helpful. Here is the reversal potentially in wave 4. Massive outside reversal. Close that gap. We've got another gap to close from April 3rd. So we'll see. We're going to have the 200-day moving average coming up as resistance above us. So, we're going to see what happens there. But you look at some of the performance and some of the watch stocks that we have here. I mean, Apple's up 15%, DoorDash up 13%, Meta up 15%, Robinhood 15%, Tesla up 23%. So as I mentioned, Palantir was a watch name that I'm very much looking forward to. The expectation for earnings growth is just massive in Palantir. We had a downtrend ABC correction possibly complete with resistance in 87, 88. So what I did in this morning before the announcements, I'll actually show you the institutional platform for Schwab. I put on 2 trades. I put on Palantir. Oh shoot, come on back. Yeah, I put on Palantir this morning. I did it in 2 blocks. I also put the XLK. I put an option hedge on 175, 165. That thing got blown away this morning. But we did put Palantir, and I'll just show you. We also added IBIT. I think Bitcoin has been holding up really well in this volatility, and Spotify is just an absolute beast. Why does it keep doing that? I don't know why it keeps flipping to the side. And then, stop. Why is it doing that? Oh, I see what's up. It's trying to log me out of the institutional platform. And then here's the retail platform, just some positions. So we had SMH on. We booked partial profits on a 190, 180 put spread a couple days ago. I closed the balance basically at break even today on the hedges. So I took the hedges off. We had XLK. That hedge got blown away. We've got longer term stock positions. And as I mentioned, I think Palantir is something that we really want to focus on. I bought it before the news today at 76 or 77, added more at 86, closed at 92 today. I'm wondering if the ABC correction is complete. Spotify is just an absolute earnings beast. You can see the relative strength in Spotify, and if we bring it up relative to, let's make it relative to the S&P. There it is. You can see that Spotify kind of rallied up here and has been flat to slightly down here, but then as soon as April came around, we're seeing the relative strength move up, threatening a break of the all-time high of Spotify SPX ratio. And then it really looks like a nice little flat correction here. We've held, and then we're trying to break above 583. So Spotify looks really good. I think Bitcoin has shown some really good relative strength here, so that's another reason we added that. Let me just get rid of all this Elliott wave stuff. Clear. still above the 200-day moving average here in Palantir, or sorry, in Bitcoin. So I like that. MicroStrategy was up 25% today. Like what? Triple bottom on the 200-day, trying to break above. In fact, there should be some downtrend resistance here in MicroStrategy. Yeah, coming up. Maybe into the 320 to 325. So that's all good stuff. So, what am I talking about with Active Opps, that XLK? So, and I know I'm not in focus here, but that's okay. So what we're doing at Inside Edge is we're carving out another model portfolio called Active Opportunities. And what it is meant to do is kind of be like a speedboat. It's meant to hold the strongest stocks with the best earnings track record, technicals, leading on the upside, hold 6, 8, 10 of those positions, with 5, 7, 8% allocation. But if things get bumpy again, I have the ability to block trade options to put hedges on. Things get bumpy again. I put the first trade on this morning, literally XLK and Palantir. Palantir did great. XLK spread got annihilated, as the market ripped up 10%, but that's what the account's for. So we have the ability to block trade options for clients, and I showed you the institutional platform. So that's going to be good. It's a way that we can hedge, we can do some different fun stuff and trade around positions while we manage the longer term portfolios at Inside Edge. So all good there. So that's what Active Opps is. If we look at some of the internals here today, Thinkorswim. I wanted to show you this. This was crazy today. As soon as the announcement came out, here's the NYSE tick. We got up to a positive 1,689 positive tick reading in the NYSE. That means there's 1,689 more upticking stocks than downticking stocks. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Just a massive, massive move higher. So that indicates institutional buy programs came in heavy. Now we did see quite a bit of selling here. This is the daily. We saw minus 13, 14, 1,500 tick readings. We got down to the low tick reading here all the way back in December, actually, minus 1,700. But today we hit a plus 1,600. So ton of institutional buy programs coming in there today. So what do we do with the 200-day moving average? That's going to be the key. So I'm going to keep the XLK hedge. It's a loser. It's only worth, 40, 50 cents at this point. But we're going to continue to add. And the way money came into some of those growth names, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks awesome. It doesn't look awesome. I think the bearishness surrounding NVIDIA and how people are calling the end of NVIDIA, and if you objectively look at the chart, it's just been sort of chopping lower from the 158 all-time high. And here we are. It's now, Wednesday. Look at the outside week reversal we have here in NVIDIA. Just throw a little downtrend line in there. And how far are we from all-time highs in NVIDIA as we're coming into earnings season? We're 32% from all-time highs. It sounds like a lot. But when you consider since the 2022 lows, it was up 1,300% max. And right now, we're still up 964%. When you consider that we swung down 43% max and we're currently 24, 30% off the highs, I think context matters, right? You can say, stock's up 30%. Yeah, but it's up 1,000% in 2 years. So that matters. So there's a lot of names we're watching. It's going to be super interesting here. And we'll see how the 90-day tariff pause is going to work. Hopefully it just gives Trump enough time and the team to negotiate with the 70 countries while coming right over the top in China and singling them out. So it's wild. This is where we money managers are going to really earn our money. So wish us luck, but it's awesome. So hopefully you're safe. Let us know if you have any comments, questions, and best of luck. Have fun out there. See you guys.